looks like we are back on the record. I can see the red dot in the top left corner for me. It is still October 11th, 2024, 1:16 p.m. Attorney Pless is going to continue cross-examination of Ms. McKinney-Rice, who is still under oath.
Thank you. So first I'd like to share my screen. Hopefully I did that correctly. If everyone is able to see, what I'm attempting to share is the ERD 505 Respondents Exhibit. It was already received into evidence as the first exhibit for the McKinney-Rice deposition.
All right.
I just want to make sure everybody can see that.
Ms. McKinney-Rice, I believe you're muted, but if you can verify, I can see it, but I want to make sure the witness can see it.
I can see it.
Okay.
Okay. So, Ms. McKinney-Rice, thank you for your attention. And I would like to take some time to just walk through this exhibit that was previously identified as the memorandum dated December 7th, 2022, directed to you from Ernest Jones, the board chair and interim president and CEO of Columbia Savings and Loan. Do you see that?
Yes.
And the ray line, the topic of this email reads behavior in the workplace. Do you see that?
Yes.
This, from what you told us earlier, was the first notice that you received that effective immediately you were being placed on administrative leave without pay. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in fact, that's the first sentence, that's how the first sentence of this memorandum reads. Do you see that?
Yes.
Moving on to the first full paragraph, Mr. Jones, who is directing this memorandum to you, reads, or it states that having spoken to you on multiple occasions, including today, I am addressing your behavior in the workplace. Do you see that?
Yes.
Do you agree that Mr. Jones had spoken to you on multiple occasions, including the day of this memo, regarding your workplace behavior?
Actually, I don't recall speaking to him on that day. And as I mentioned in my earlier um, testimony, our conversations were few and far between.
Understood. He goes on to discuss during several conversations with you during the month of November 2022, I talked to you about the importance of everyone taking on additional responsibilities as we work to turn around Columbia Savings and Loan Association and improve its regulatory and financial health. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you read it correctly.
Do you agree that Mr. Jones had several conversations with you during the month of November regarding the regulatory health and the need for everyone to take on additional responsibilities?
I wouldn't say several, but I would agree to conversation.
Mr. Jones goes on to say, I have pointed on multiple occasions that as the manager directly supervising tellers, you need to have your own drawer as a backup for those occasions when the tellers are unavailable or there is greater customer demand. Do you agree? My question to you then is, do you agree that Mr. Jones pointed out on multiple occasions as the manager that you should be prepared to take a backup teller drawer?
Yes. Actually, if you're going to read through this, can you enlarge it, please?
I can sure try.
Thank you.
I hope that's helpful. Mr. Jones goes on to say that in each of these conversations that I think you just agreed to having had with him, you indicated that you will not do so. So that's in reference to taking a teller drawer. He's saying that you refuse to take a teller drawer. Is that correct?
No, it is incorrect.
Were there times that he asked you to take a teller drawer and you declined to do so?
No,
So each and every time Mr. Jones asked you to take a teller drawer, you indicated that you would.
what I shared with Mr. Jones is that I have always stepped in to take care of customers and handle cash when necessary, which is the practice I've had in all of the years that I have been at Columbia Savings.
I'm going to jump in if you don't mind, Attorney Pelez, just to remind the witness to answer the question that's asked. And the only reason why is because I want clarity as well.
Okay.
And I know Attorney Pelez let you off the hook on one of the earlier ones. I don't know if you need Attorney Pelez to re-answer or re-ask the question or not, but I don't know that
Okay.
directly answered that question.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Judge. Let me try to maybe shorten and rephrase my questions so that they're more clear. Ms. McKinney-Rice, was there ever a time that Mr. Jones asked you to take a teller drawer and you declined to do so?
No,
So your testimony this afternoon is that each time Mr. Jones asked you to take a teller drawer, you agreed to take a teller drawer.
yes, if it was necessary.
So you're qualifying your answer with whether or not it was necessary. In your estimation, are you telling us that you were the person to decide when it was necessary to take a teller drawer?
What he had shared with me is that when we were short-staffed or it was extra busy, I would need to take a teller drawer. And I was in agreement with that.
Okay, so back to the memo and that first full paragraph, the second to the last sentence, Mr. Jones writes, in each of these conversations, you have indicated that you will not do so. So are you telling us that the president was incorrect when he's saying that you indicated that you would not take a teller drawer?
That is correct.
He also goes on to say that your response in both content and tone has been insubordinate and is not acceptable. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Do you agree that your response to the president asking you to take a teller drawer was insubordinate and not acceptable?
Would you repeat that, please?
Okay. Mr. Jones is telling us in this correspondence that your tone and the content of your response to him were insubordinate. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I disagree.
So if the president of the bank testifies that he asked you to take a teller drawer and you declined to do so, you're going to disagree with that testimony.
I disagree with that statement.
It sounds like you're qualifying your response, Ms. McKinney-Rice, by telling us that it's your statement that you would take a teller drawer if it was necessary. Who is to judge, based on your statement, who is to judge when it is necessary to take a teller drawer?
As the supervisor of the teller area, I would believe that it would be my responsibility to determine the when it was necessary. Uh, and unfortunately, well, Mr. Jones was not in attendance at Columbia on a regular basis. And in my estimation, as the supervisor of the Taylor area, I felt that I had a good handle on the Teller area and how it should be run, considering that I had been the supervisor over the Teller area for many years.
So in other words, you were to decide when you thought it was necessary for you to take a teller drawer.
I'm sorry, I did not hear you.
My question was basically you're telling us that you were the person that was to decide when it was necessary to take a teller drawer.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you, and I don't know if Attorney Crane, if you have your volume turned down.
I'm turning it down more.
Okay, because I can't hear you because I have my volume turned off to alleviate the feedback.
Turn yours higher and I'll turn mine totally
Okay.
low.
All right, can you repeat that for me again, please?
Sure.
Okay, that's better.
Okay, I hope I'm not echoing now because I heard a little something there. Um, is it your testimony, Ms. McKinney-Rice, that you were the person best to decide whether it was necessary for you to take a teller drawer?
In the absence of the president, yes.
On in the next paragraph, on November 18th, 2022, after meeting with you and reaching mutual agreement, I announced to all staff and the board of directors that all personnel employed by the bank would report to you in your role of vice president of operations. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
And did you have such a meeting with Mr. Jones?
Yes.
And did you come to a mutual agreement about your new responsibility? As basically everyone at the bank would report to you. Did you reach a mutual understanding of that?
Not of the responsibilities. It was shared that they would report to me. Uh, and as I testified earlier, there was no delineation of duties that the staff were to report to me. Were they were what they were to report, excuse me, what they were to report to me, and what it was that I was to report to Mr. Jones. But yes,
Going
there
on.
was an agreement that the staff would report to me.
Okay, but you feel that you hadn't worked out all the specifics of that yet in terms of what it would look like.
Exactly.
Going on in the memo, despite it reads, despite being alerted by text and email that I had called a staff meeting for Tuesday, November 29th, 2022 at 8:30 a.m., you arrived late and missed the discussion about the status of the bank with regard to its federal and state regulators. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Now, you talked about this a little bit in your direct examination about this meeting that was called and that you missed. Do you agree that you received a text message to notify you of that meeting?
Yes.
Do you agree that you received an email to notify you of that meeting?
No, I do not recall receiving an email.
If Mr. Jones indicated that an email was sent to you in this correspondence. Would you have any reason to doubt or object to that statement?
Yes, because I do not recall receiving an email because he did not have my personal email. But
Moving
I do
on.
recall receiving the text message.
Thank you for that. Moving on, Mr. Jones writes, "It is unacceptable for my direct report, who is responsible for supervising staff and operations, to have missed part of the staff meeting in spite of having asked for more staff meetings." Did I read that correctly?
Yes,
Had you asked for more staff meetings?
yes,
Moving on, the memo reads, "As part of declining additional responsibilities, you have indicated repeatedly you have too much, quote, on your plate, end quote, need to have some of the work duties reassigned elsewhere, and have wanted to talk about greater compensation." Did I read that correctly?
yes.
And did you, in fact, tell Mr. Jones repeatedly that you believed you had too much on your plate?
I would say yes on occasion that I had mentioned that to him and was looking forward to talking with him regarding those responsibilities.
Did you talk to him about that more than once?
I would say yes.
And did you talk to Mr. Jones about needing to have some of your work duties reassigned elsewhere?
I did want to talk with him about that, and so we did talk about it.
And it says here that you've wanted to talk about greater compensation. So you were asking Mr. Jones for less work, but you wanted more pay. Is that accurate?
No, it is not.
Well, it says that you were having too much on your plate and you wanted to assign work duties, reassign work duties to other staff. Is that true?
That is correct, but in addition, I was being asked to take on greater responsibilities, but so it's not getting less work. I would be getting more work.
You told us earlier about when you were promoted from the operations supervisor to the vice president of operations and that there were additional duties involved. Do you recall that?
Yes,
And you also told us at that time you didn't receive any particular pay increase in acknowledgement of that promotion, just the typical annual 2% increase that everyone got. Do you recall that?
yes,
And you told us at that time that part of the reason that it was handled in that way is because the bank was going through some struggles, whether it was financial, regulatory, or both. But you did tell us that there were some struggles, some financial challenges um, that's the reason you didn't expect additional pay at that time. Is that correct?
yes,
And would you agree at this time, which would have been approximately November 2022, the bank was still going through some of the same struggles because the bank was still trying to work through this consent order, basically the regulatory violations that the bank was trying to correct. Do you agree with that?
yes.
directing your attention back to ERD 505 as I work through the rest of the paragraph. Mr. Jones writes, on Friday, December 2nd, 2022, I asked you to articulate your job duties. You were able to mention only 3 tasks, one of which largely happens once a month, despite being with the bank for 35 years and having the longest tenure. Did I read that correctly?
Yes,
Do you recall that discussion with Mr. Jones?
yes,
And is he relaying or summarizing that discussion accurately with what I just read?
yes,
Further, Mr. Jones writes, when asked what job duties you are seeking to eliminate, you indicated a desire to no longer be responsible for the vault and having customer interaction. Did I read that correctly?
yes.
Do you recall whether that's an accurate statement that those were the things you told Mr. Jones that you wanted to eliminate?
Technically, yes,
Why do you qualify that statement, Ms. McKinney-Rice?
because at the time that I was asked, I was not prepared for this particular discussion. As I had testified earlier, when we had this conversation, I was expecting to be discussing something different. So had I been more prepared, I would have been able to give him a better answer. However, since it was not a planned conversation where I could better articulate and have a list prepared of some of the things that I was interested in training someone else to do, and also getting some direction from him regarding what additional responsibilities he wanted me to take on in being in charge. Uh, I would have been more prepared to give a better answer than what he is uh, showing in this memorandum.
Okay, but you told us that technically you did say that you no longer wanted to be responsible for the vault and you no longer wanted to have customer interaction. Is that true?
That is correct.
And wouldn't taking a teller drawer be considered customer interaction?
That is correct.
The memo goes on to state that to date, you are the only employee who has indicated an unwillingness to take on additional responsibilities and has voiced a desire to have fewer duties. Did I read that correctly?
You read it correctly.
The memo goes on. In a bank with only 6 employees on the payroll, customer service is required of everyone. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did read that correctly.
Given the association's financial position, the bank cannot afford to pay full-time employees for lesser workloads. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you read that correctly.
I'd like to move forward and talk through ERD Exhibit 506, which was the second um, exhibit to the Carol McKinney-Rice deposition, which has already been accepted as part of the record. Um, you reviewed this correspondence earlier with your attorney, Ms. McKinney-Rice. So I'll identify this as the January 25th, 2023 letter to Mr. Ernest Jones, um, it says CEO, board chair, attorney, but in addition, he was the president, was and is still the president of Columbia Savings and Loan Association. Is that correct?
That was my understanding.
Okay. And I think we talked through this earlier as well, but this letter is signed by Linda Jackson Conyers, that you identified as a longtime customer of the bank, I believe, and Venora W. McKinney, who you have identified and the letter identifies as your mother, correct?
Yes,
So the letter that your mother has signed addressed to Mr. Jones um, is basically protesting the fact that you were placed on administrative leave without pay until further notice back in early December 2022, correct?
correct.
Now, they refer to themselves as shareholders. We won't get into the technicalities or the legalities of that, so I'll leave that for another time. I don't think it's really pertinent. Um, I'm going to start with the second paragraph and just kind of talk through this with you as we did with the memo. And I understand that you did not author this correspondence, but I would like to review it. The second full paragraph goes on to state that it is unclear and patently unfair that any employee should be placed on administrative leave without pay until further notice, without an investigation, explanation, personnel documentation, a hearing, and a subsequent decision. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you read that correctly.
Now, you mentioned in your earlier testimony that you had discussed your being placed on administrative leave with your mother and with the co-author of this correspondence. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, repeat your question, please.
Sure. On your direct examination, you told us that you did have some dialogue about the fact that you were placed on administrative leave with both your mother and Ms. Conyers. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And did you share with either of the two of them that December 7th, 2022 memo that details and outlines Mr. Jones's reason for placing you on administrative leave? Did you ever show that to them?
I showed a copy to my mother, and I shared the details with Ms. Jackson Conyers.
Okay. This letter goes on to read, your decision places her in the position of no income, lack of access to her funds, and lack of clarity on her position as an employee. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you read that correctly.
In addition, this type of behavior on your part is a threat to other employees. Did I read that correctly?
Yes,
Furthermore, your actions place the reputation of a historic and only African American financial institution in the state of Wisconsin in jeopardy, not only for how employees, but in addition, how shareholders are being treated. Did I read that correctly?
yes, you read that correctly.
Okay. Um, the next paragraph, neither you nor the board has given any explanation placing Mrs. McKinney-Rice in a position that potentially damages her reputation and financial stability. Did I read that correctly?
Yes,
You mentioned that you did, in fact, share that December 7th memo with your mother, just not with the co-author of this letter. Is that correct?
yes,
So they may not have liked the explanation that Mr. Jones gave for his rationale, but there was, in fact, an explanation given, correct?
correct.
Moving on in the letter, indeed, we are left to wonder whether shareholders and potential new clients can expect similar behavior. Did I read that correctly?
Yes,
As shareholders, we reject the notion that an individual without banking or administrative experience is sufficiently knowledgeable to make the decision you seem to have made unilaterally after only a few weeks in your position. Did I read that correctly?
yes,
So with that last sentence, is it your understanding that they are referring to Mr. Jones as a person who is an individual without banking or administrative experience? Is that your understanding of that letter?
that is my understanding.
Did you ever tell either one of them that Mr. Jones lacked banking or administrative experience?
No,
Moving on, the next paragraph, what do we want? We desire two actions on your part. One, full and fair actions toward Mrs. McKinney-Rice, and two, an immediate selection of an interim CEO and a proper search to be made to fill the position with a qualified individual. Did I read that correctly?
yes,
So they wanted two things, basically full and fair actions towards you, right?
yes,
And number two, they're basically asking to replace Mr. Jones. They want an immediate selection of an interim CEO, so somebody other than him, and a proper search to be made to fill the position with a qualified individual. Is that your understanding of what that means?
that's what it appears to mean.
So they're questioning Mr. Jones's qualifications for the role as CEO of this bank, based upon the actions with placing you on administrative leave. Is that the understanding here?
Uh, I cannot speak to what they were thinking when they put that, but that's what is written in the letter.
Thank you. Um, Moving on. It is our desire that Colombia will exist for another 100 years, and there is reason to believe that as a young African American man in Milwaukee, your desire is the same, not to destroy, but to strengthen Columbia Savings and Loan for service to the community. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Okay, so it's interesting that they use the word young to describe Mr. Jones in that last paragraph. Had you made any comments to either Ms. Conyers or to your mom about the age of Mr. Jones?
No,
And again, I think we talked about this on your direct examination, that this communication was not only delivered to Mr. Jones, but also to his executive vice president, who was a consultant, I believe you told us, with Columbia, Will Martin, as well as the remaining board of directors. Everybody saw this. That's listed here. Is that your understanding?
yes, that is my understanding.
Ms. McKinney-Rice, at the time that you were placed on administrative leave, you had been with the bank for about 36 years, is that correct?
That is correct.
And you had the longest tenure of anyone else who was working with the bank at that time, true?
That is correct.
Despite having that longest tenure, none of the other workers at the bank ever harassed you about your age, correct?
No,
And I'm going to throw Will Martin in there too, because I know he was here, maybe not as an employee, but as a consultant. So Will Martin, the former VP, he never harassed you about your age either, correct?
no,
Nor did Mr. Jones. He never made any comment or any inquiry to you about your age.
I never heard him make an inquiry. As I mentioned, our conversations were few and far between.
So even though in the letter that we just talked through, the ERD, I think is 506. That number is small. It's a little hard. It is a little hard to read. The only so far with what we've looked at, the only reference to age was that these two ladies, your mother and the other person, were referring to Mr. Jones as being young. Other than that, there's no reference to age in this letter, is there?
None that I know of. No,
And if I go back to the memo that is dated December 7th, 2022, there's no reference anywhere in this memo to age as a basis for the corrective action that was being taken. True?
just that I had the longest tenure.
Okay, let's go back. Let's take a look at that then. Bear with me, Ms. McKinney-Rice. Which paragraph speaks to your long tenure?
The last paragraph,
Beginning with on Friday, December 2nd, 2022.
yes.
Thank you, Judge. Okay. The fact that you had the longest tenure in the bank was part of the reason why Mr. Jones wanted to make you his number 2 person in charge. Is that correct?
I believe so.
So the notion of you having the longest tenure was actually a positive and not a negative in terms of what he thought your capabilities ought to be.
Yes,
And again, you never documented any examples of any age discrimination from anyone associated with Columbia Savings and Loan.
no, I did not have documentation.
And you never reported any examples or documentation of age discrimination from anyone associated with Columbia Savings and Loan.
I'm sorry, if you could repeat your question, please.
Sure. Did you ever report any examples of age-related discrimination to anyone at Columbia Savings and Loan? Did you ever make a report or any complaint about age discrimination?
Not to anyone at Columbia.
You just, because I want to be careful because I can't get into what conversations you have with your attorneys. But I'm specifically just asking as relates to, let's say, for instance, the management at Columbia. You never reported any instances or your opinion about age discrimination.
The person I probably would have, my direct report would have been Ernest Jones.
So did you ever talk to
No.
Ernest? Okay, just for sake of our record, I'll go ahead and ask the full question, but I understand your response. Did you ever talk to Ernest Jones to report any claims of age-related discrimination? Go ahead and you can
No.
answer.
No.